It's Wednesday, May 27th, and I'm delighted to be joined by Dina Portman as we explore end-to-end testing using Cloud Build. Here we go. Hello, and welcome to this live pairing on Adventures in the Cloud. I'm really excited to be joined today by Dina Portman. She is a developer relations resident on the serverless team at Google Cloud. How are you doing today, Dina?
Hi, I'm doing well. It's really hot in Oakland, but otherwise pretty great.
Yeah, it's definitely a heat wave spreading across the US right now. It seems like finally getting into the swing of the warmer part of the year, but we're still staying inside and we're still connecting across the country here. So really cool to have you on and get to hang out with you this afternoon, or I guess lunchtime for you.
Yeah, I ate a snack earlier. I'm already hungry.
Oh, the quarantine hunger. So yeah, as always, oh wow, we already have some folks saying hi. I usually say some random blip here about the live stream has a chat in case there's silence on the chat. So great to see everybody. Tibor, Mark, Grania, and Philippe and Dina saying hi there as well. So we'll be able to interact via the chat as we kind of go through this example. So thank you everybody for joining us. And Dina, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we have in store today for the viewers?
Okay, so in the world of microservices, it's really difficult to ensure that any change you make in one service doesn't break things downstream. And in order to try to protect against that a little bit, what we're going to be doing is building an end-to-end test with two different services that speak to each other. One service is it's a front end, kind of an editor. It takes user input, and the other service is it only allows authenticated posts. So it only accepts data from services that have access to it. And it does the processing on the back end. And what we want to do is we want to ensure that when we send the data to the front end service, the output from the back end service is what we expect it to be.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's all the buzzwords right there, right? Microservices, authentication, doing things in the cloud, serverless, just buzzword soup, end-to-end testing even. And testing is something that is definitely, I don't know, people talk about it a lot, right? Oh, testing, it's important. You got to do the testing. Write your tests. Don't forget to write your test. And I feel like there's the reason why we always talk about tests as if it's this thing that you got to remember, because everybody forgets somehow. I mean, I always forget. So I'm speaking for myself. So we'll see how I do today with these tests.
Yeah, well, essentially it's a protective measure just for your peace of mind, so you can sleep better at night. That when sometimes even like just the tiniest little change. I once changed the text on just it was just a string. I once changed a string, and I broke the entire build for YouTube. So tests are important.
Wow. There's a story. How to break YouTube by changing a string. That's awesome.
But, yeah.
And we got some more folks chiming in. Lots of folks chiming in from all over the world. Other folks from Oakland, Don McCaslin, he was on this channel just last week. So great to see you, Don. Thanks for joining us. Christian and Dara. And we have at Atanis from Birmingham, UK, all the way from London. So that's fantastic. And Eugenio from Spain, holding down the fort over in Europe on the other side of the pond. So let's switch over to our desktop and see the code, as it were. I've got our repo pulled up here. This repo is, I think, at least for now, a private repo, with hopes of open sourcing soonish, maybe, Dina? Someday?
Yeah, I mean, it's it is an adaptation of a repo that is public.
Okay.
If you go to our Cloud docs, there's a service-to-service authentication tutorial that uses markdown processing as the example for the thing that we're doing. I thought that was a little bit dry. So rather than doing markdown processing in our backend service, we're doing emojizing, which
Nice.
will become clear what that is and what that does later.
So excited for this. Awesome. All right, so yeah, let's get right into it then, I guess. I've got our repo open here. I've got a tab open with the Cloud Console, which apparently is off the window a little bit here. Let me get things sized in correctly. And as always, I have our VS Code editor, and I've already cloned the repo into our working directory. So we're all set to go, and we got a terminal down below that we can work off of.
I think the first thing that we should do.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Is we should just.
Sorry, Dina. Okay.
Are we back?
All right, we're back at last. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. So you were just getting started on telling us about where we were gonna get started, and I was like, oh, she stopped talking about where we're going. So.
Great. Okay, so there's two directories, or they're each their own service. One is emojis. So let's look at that one first. We have a Docker file that describes what the container is.
Python 3.8 on the cutting edge.
Yeah, and we're using a nice slim package so that the build will be very fast. Copies in the requirements and installs all the requirements. And then we run our app.
Yeah. What is this final command here? Copy space dot space dot.
It's saying copy everything from this directory into the directory in our container. It's like copy everything from like where you are locally into your container.
Oh, and because of what we've done here, it's specifically like if we kind of unroll it a little bit, it's copying from this working directory into root app.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And aside from this, like, so we've made some changes to the top and added our own pip install, but much of this looks very familiar to me in terms of it's not too far deviated from your standard Cloud Run kind of quick start web app Docker file.
Yeah, exactly. I think one thing that is a little bit interesting is that we've added a timeout flag to it.
Nice.
And this is because Cloud Run, it scales down to 0,
right,
which is what it's meant to do. It's one of the features.
Yeah.
But, our app doesn't necessarily know that. Flask doesn't know that.
Okay.
And so if you don't add that flag, if you look at the logs, it'll say like critical timeout error, critical timeout error.
Interesting.
And, it's meant to. So we add that flag, and then there aren't, critical errors in the logs.
Can you talk a little bit about what this timeout means? Like when it says that, like, is that the amount of time that the server is willing to wait or is expecting to wait before responding, or is it something else? I'm just making stuff up here.
It is a Flask flag.
Okay.
And I think I know that like adding it means that it won't create errors when your app times out.
Cool. Okay.
And above that, I don't really know.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair. It's sometimes we do things because they work.
Yeah.
Cool. So Yeah, so this is our Docker file, and then I guess onwards to the next, the main event, as it were.
Yeah.
So we've got import emoji. Did not know there was an emoji library. It's pretty sweet.
It's pretty small. It's pretty lightweight. I considered a few different ways of doing this. I considered just scraping the Unicode text file. But then I would have had to do some parsing and turn it into a dictionary and stuff. And the people who made this emoji module have already done that, and that seemed a lot easier and faster for this use case.
Perfect. And then we've got our usual. Whoa! It just decided to. This just all popped in, and I guess it finished analyzing, and has now decided to complain about my.
Oh, about my import order.
Not sure what it's upset about, honestly. It doesn't seem to believe us that emoji exists, but let's move on.
Yeah, it's probably because emoji isn't installed on your computer, but
yes.
That doesn't actually matter,
right?
Because we're going to be installing it on the containers, so it doesn't matter if it can find it on your computer.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at it, we accept some text. I have a little function that breaks up the text into words. It just creates an array, including spaces are their own array, spaces and punctuation, because I want to preserve those when I put the functions back together.
That's kind of this is kind of an interesting use case where you oftentimes drop those kinds of stop symbols.
Yeah, I want to keep them, and I also I want to keep them in the right order. So I'm just creating kind of like this little map of our sentence. So then it returns that list, and then with that list, if you want to scroll back up, with that list, we go through
word and words.
Each word.
Yeah.
And
normalize the word.
Lowercase it, make sure just kind of normal. And then we check to see if it's in that list of emoji names in the Unicode codes. And that's a dictionary. So that is, O of 1 lookup for anybody who is interested. And then if that word is an emoji, then in the place of the of the sentence map, then we insert the emoji instead of the word. And if it's a new line, we insert a break so that it shows up properly in the HTML.
Perfect.
Else we just insert the original word.
Nice. What is the significance of having these quotes or colons?
So a lot of services, and the way this is mapped as well, the name of the emoji it's like colon emoji name colon.
Oh, is it?
And so, yeah, that was just a way to make it match the names in the Unicode codes.
Gotcha. Very cool.
So that's a fun little service.
Yeah, and then we just join it all up and fire it back.
And I left all those print statements in there so that we can see them in the logs if anything goes wrong.
That sounds good to me. So
okay, and so then
go ahead.
Oh, the other service is the editor, and it has a front end template. If you go to main.py, Docker file. Yeah, the Docker file is the same thing.
Oh yeah, cool.
It's like nearly identical, if not identical.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
All right, so we got our main for the editor, and this is where folks will be typing in their sentences to get emojified.
Yes. Cool. Yeah, exactly. And so there's like a button, and it sends it to the /render root. And what that does is that creates a request against the URL of the emoji service, and then returns the sentence, and you can see there that I forgot to rename the parsed markdown, which was the original service. But okay, so if you go into render, that's like kind of where the important and interesting part of the service is.
Yes. It's a little library you built. New request creates a new HTTP request with IAM ID token credential. There's a mouthful. This token is automatically handled by private Cloud Run fully managed and Cloud Functions. Hey, automatic token handling. Never going to complain about that.
Yeah. And actually I think there's a new client library that is imminently coming, or a new feature added to the Python client library that's imminently coming out to do this token handling. In this example, nice. What I'm doing is getting the editor URL from our environment variables, and then I'm making a request against it, and if it's authentic, if it requires authentication, then we do get token. So there's another function down there called get token. And that, you know, makes a call to this API endpoint and gets the token back. And this is, you can't actually access this endpoint locally. It can only be done like from like a Cloud Run service or a Cloud Function service or something like that.
So this is like, you'd have to figure out how to test around this a little bit. You'd have to mock it out or have a stub.
And the way that you can do that, you can get your token. There's a command that is actually going to be in the tests that we write, and it's gcloud auth print identity token, and so that's like the token that is available to you as the owner of the project. Then you can pass that token in instead of the token. This produces a token that says, I am this Cloud Run service, and if this Cloud Run service has access to the other Cloud Run service, then the request will work.
Right, that makes sense. And this
so,
is funny header here, metadata flavor.
Yeah. It's required.
Yep.
Yeah. It's fun, like when you're writing things like this for the first time and you're like, does it work without it? And then no, it doesn't.
Just try to strip down the code as much as possible. Like, I don't need to pass this in.
Yeah. So we use that token, we add it to our request to our emoji service, and then that returns back our emojized words, our sentence, our input.
And then we, I guess, return that somehow in this editor?
Yeah, so it says return response.read, and if you go back to main.py,
yeah, we've got a couple of files to jump between.
Yeah, so then you have it's on line 38 and 39 there. So it says
the parse
renders
markdown.
new reply. Yeah, should be probably renamed.
Let's call it emoji down.
Okay, emoji down. I like it. Cool. Beautiful. Okay, so now that we have a handle on what the code is and what it's doing, let's build and deploy the two services using gcloud.
All right. So I am in some folder. Okay, I'm at the top level folder now. Should we deploy the emojis first or the editor first?
You have to deploy the emoji first because the URL for the emoji service is one of the environment variables for the editor service.
Right. And how are we going to pass that environment variable in, actually, now that you mention it?
We are going to use Cloud Run environment variables.
Interesting. All right. So looking forward to that. So I'm going to go into the emoji folder here. If I remember my Cloud run enough, and I'm gonna just pop open that README and just use that as kind of like a temp workspace to drop in commands. This is those who have watched this live stream before know that I have a tendency to do that. I'd like to have a text editor open to drop commands because invariably I'll mess something up, and then I don't want to hit up and then backspace a bunch on the command line and take forever. Gcloud run deploy.
So first we need to build it.
Oh yes, that's right.
So we need Gcloud build.
And then we need to give the Docker file. Or no, there's more to it.
It's Gcloud build submit. And then we're going to do a -- tag.
Yes.
Equals gcr.io.
/ the project name.
Yep. And then do like emojis test, or whatever name you want to give it there, and emoji down. I like that. And then you need to tell it the location, which will be just your current location, so you can just put like a dot there. And you should remove that little single quote you have hanging out.
Oh, we don't need a quote at all on this string?
No.
All right.
No.
You got it. All right. We are in emojis folder, so I should be able to run this directly. Cool.
It builds with an S.
We really need to add some aliases into Gcloud so that things like that work.
Yeah.
But then people will come to rely on it, and then it'll break when we finally take away that crutch. Loving this 1.8 kilobyte upload though.
Yeah, isn't it great?
Yes, especially in a live streaming situation. So every bit of bandwidth counts.
When it asks if you want to allow unauthenticated access, say no. Right. You want to restrict it to authenticated access.
Gotcha. And if I accidentally say yes, is there a way to change that back?
Yeah, you can do that in the console.
Yeah, we might need to do that in the console, because I think when I was live pairing with Dustin, or maybe after that, at some point I changed that. I set a default flag in my Gcloud. Yeah. Because it did not prompt me, which I don't know if that means it's private or not private, but it doesn't sound like good news.
It won't prompt you until we do the deploy.
Oh, fair enough. Yes, all we did was the build. I'm really off my game after that long weekend.
So yeah, we want Gcloud run deploy, and then we, give a name to our service. So emoji down is a very good name.
If I can spell it.
And then we would do -- image.
But not tag. Okay.
And then we put the tag, and that should do it.
Do I need to put like latest or anything like that? Lastest.
No, you can add like lots of different suffixes if you want. It will, if you don't put anything in there, it will automatically like consider it latest.
Great. Automatic is my friend. So while that's going, let me get this up on the console. Yeah. Assume I can find it. It's the scroll bar that never ends.
Well done.
So there's some of my other services that I've pushed there in the past. Oh, here's the thing. So we'll say no.
And it's so hard to explain and describe that too. I hate when you have to talk about a double negative. It's like, do you not want to allow unauthenticated access? What does that mean?
Right. Is that really the text of that? Allow.
I mean, it says allow unauthenticated access,
yes,
and then you have
no.
to say no. So it's just like
right.
Mentally, it's a
it's a bit of a circuitous route. It's like, no, please don't allow unauthenticated invocations.
Yeah. So I like to say, restrict to authenticated access.
Yeah.
That's easier to understand.
Yeah, especially since that's the default anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's done, and I guess I could
yeah.
open this, though it shouldn't work since I've restricted it to authenticated only.
Should not work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like it only accepts a post too. So like if you
Aha.
tried to go to it in a browser, it'd be a get, and
Yeah.
it's just it's unhappy in many ways.
So for all the viewers who are hoping to hijack our app, haha.
Can't do it.
Let's refresh this.
So you need to save that URL.
Yes. Let's
Emoji down.
Make a note of that. Okay.
I love that name. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
for something.
We're gonna make it a thing. We're gonna make it a thing.
Yeah. Okay, so now we want to do almost the same thing with the other service, with the editor. But when we deploy it, we're going to put environment variables with it.
Right.
But the build statement will be the same.
But with a different.
With a different different tag.
All right. So this is again where having these things saved in a text file is amazing. Can I have underscores here in the image name like that?
Yeah.
All right, and we will call this not emoji down, but emoji editor. And we will build and submit.
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet. We want to do -- at the end of your deploy statement.
Oh, there's some more extra bits. Yes.
Yeah. Set -env -vars.
Oh, this is where this goes.
And so then it's editor upstream render URL all caps with
oh, this is not what I'm expecting at all. Editor render.
Editor upstream. Sorry, editor upstream render. And so this is the environment variable that the service is looking for. So we could have named it something shorter, cuter, funner. But that's what's in the code, that's what's deployed, and so that's what it's looking for. And so now so what you've done so far is you said there is an environment variable called this. Now we need to give it a value.
Yeah. Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah.
And URL. I didn't include the URL. That's why it's important to check the real thing, not just this is coding by Hangouts. A little bit lossy.
Okay. So now equals.
So there's two equals here like this on either side.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you put in the URL.
Perfect. Great. Long command.
And if you had more environment variables, and we can just add some more in
just for fun.
Yeah. So all you do is you just add a comma at the end there. And then, make sure it's all touching though.
Oh, no spaces allowed.
No spaces.
For ease of parsing.
Do capital, maybe like foo equals bar or something.
Yeah.
And so if you ran that, that would, add another environment variable called foo.
Is there a way to see the environment variables that we've pushed into a deploy from the UI?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
You can do that in the Cloud Console.
Yeah, looking forward to that. All right, so I'm going to kick off.
You might even be able to add some from the Cloud Console. I'm not sure.
Fancy. Invalid service name. Service name must use only lowercase alphanumeric characters and dashes. So I can have an underscore in the image name, but I cannot have an underscore in the service name because parsing is hard.
I love running into errors. It's it's just like, it's great for, people who haven't, used these services before to see the error messages. And I know, like, when I first started coding, like, any error message kind of filled me with panic.
Something's wrong. Oh no.
It's unhappy.
Yeah.
But now I love seeing it because you learn more about what it's doing from the error messages than from when it just works. Okay. And so this one you were supposed to allow
And I
authenticated.
did. I think.
Okay, great. So let's open it up and take a peek. And if it works, hopefully it works. Hopefully everything's hooked up properly.
Look at that.
Okay, give it just a moment. It's loading. There it is.
That is beautiful. I have a cat who lives in my house. He is soft and sweet. No candy for sweet. He has 2 eyes and a very fluffy tail. My cat and I are running to the taco truck. That's wonderful.
Thanks. Yeah, there's, if anybody's interested, there are definitely ways to improve this by doing some kind of like sentiment analysis or doing keyword mapping or something. Right now, it just does like a 1-to-1 match on the Unicode names. But yeah, that's what it does. Okay, so you saw just now, like, if I were to make a change to a Docker file, or if I were to make a change to, how the services passed or received data, like one of them is, it does like a JSON post and there's like a word called data, and then the other one just takes plain text. And so like if I were to like change anything on either of those, this would totally break.
Yeah.
And my unit tests for each individual service could be working just great. The snail, that's cute. Yeah, so it could be working great, but end to end, it would be a mess, and that would be very sad. Previously, what we're going to do is actually what we did in our Python samples that we have for Cloud Run, and one of the samples from the Markdown tutorial. And previously, anytime anybody made a change, even like a small change to the Docker file or anything like that, I would, before I would like sign off on the pull request, I would clone it, build it, look at it, build it, deploy it, look at it, and then approve it, which is a pretty significant manual process that we just did. Like, I don't know how many minutes that took us.
Yeah, for every single change.
For every single change. So and also like, you don't know for sure. Like, that's just like, that's like, you're trusting that somebody has done that. And you don't know for sure if somebody has actually done that, if somebody's just like gone like, oh yeah, it looks okay, and has signed off on it. And then if there's not like some kind of like test blocking the merge, then it could go into production, and then suddenly people have a service that does not return emojis, and what kind of sad world would that be?
That's right.
So what we're gonna do is we are going to write a test to ensure that if you send the word cat to one service, that the other service returns back that emoji of a cat.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. End to end.
End to end. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our code, and from the root directory above the emojis service and above the editor service, we're going to create a new file called maybe end-to-end test.py.
Okay. Some terrible semantics I'm using here in the file name. Numbers, underscores, what is the pattern?
Okay. So we're going to import Pytest.
Yep. Oh wow, it has been a really long time since I've used Pytest, so you're gonna have to excuse me for my lack of knowledge of what's inside of Pytest as we go along here. Just fair warning.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff inside of PyTest. And the first thing that we're gonna jump right in. We're gonna make a PyTest fixture, and so it's at pytest.fixture.
I'm assuming we're gonna define a function.
Yeah, it's a function. At PyTest, a fixture needs with
arguments.
parentheses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything inside of it or no?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Just blank.
Cool.
All we're saying is like the thing that we're doing here is a fixture, and so it can be kind of like passed around between the tests. So we're actually only writing one test, but because it's a fixture, it allows us to do a very nice building up and tearing down of our services.
Great.
And that is something that we want.
Yes.
So we're going to call it services, def services. And you're going to, yeah, that works. Let's just right now do, instead of pass, write yield. And we'll just put a string yield foo.
Sure.
And then we want to go down a couple lines and do def, test end to end. And inside that parentheses, that's where you want to pass your fixture. So we're going to put test services inside there.
Oh, interesting. So you pass a function into here. Okay.
And maybe write something like assert false. And then, that way it breaks.
Oh, we're forcing a fail. Okay.
Yeah. You don't need the parentheses.
Oh,
You
sure.
just do assert false. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm used to the Python 3 print syntax now, so I'm like, everything needs parentheses.
So yeah, if we ran this, it would fail.
Not lazy.
Oh, and you can access. Actually, let's go ahead and access the thing. And so if we'll say like foo equals before the assert, because that breaks everything. So it's just a before. Foo equals test services. And then you're gonna do square brackets, 0.
Oh, interesting.
And that's because test services yields one thing.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing. So you could do assert foo and then it should pass, or you could do assert not foo, and then assert not foo is a little more interesting because the print statement will be like, there was a foo, and then you can see that actually there was a foo, and that is what we want.
Yeah. Should I install Pytest locally?
Oh, yes.
Right. Py versions. Yeah, those look good. Okay. Pip install Pytest. Installing. Great. Now we should be able to run end-to-end tests.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it finished. Nothing happened. What did I do wrong here?
Oh, you need to run it with PyTest. There's different ways that you could do that. If the documentation is always like, just type PyTest and it's a command and you can run it that way. That never works for me. My computer doesn't like it.
It apparently works. I ran PyTest by itself. Oh, it ran this whole thing. I just ran PyTest. I mean, it's clearly findable, so that's a good sign, right?
So you can specify a file. There you go. If that command doesn't work, okay. So since it's only we wanted to say foo actually. So let's get rid of that bracket 0, I guess, because we're returning just one string instead of 2 things. If you return multiple things, it's like it becomes like a tuple, and then you can access it like a tuple. But Python's trying to be really friendly to us right now, and it's just treating it as a string.
Oh,
so
is it taking the first character? Nice.
Yeah.
There it is.
But yeah, as I was saying, like if the Pytest command doesn't work for you, or like doesn't work for somebody, then you would do Python m Pytest, and so that's saying use Python to run the Pytest module.
Right. The Python !m, right?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's what we wanted. We wanted to see that actually there was a foo. So awesome. So now we have the what's the word I'm looking for? Like kind of like the scaffolding of our test service. Like we're building a service, and then we're passing it to our test.
Yep.
And then we're running a test, and we purposely have it so it's failing.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to actually build and deploy those images and Cloud Run services.
Yeah. So we need to run like all of this stuff from Python.
Yes, exactly. And so there's several different ways to do it. My preferred way, because I think it's just a little more readable, is we are gonna keep most of these commands in a YAML file.
Okay.
So that in the Python itself, all we have to do is say, gcloud run this YAML file.
Oh, I didn't know gcloud run could handle YAML files directly like that.
Yeah, well, it's actually gcloud build, but yes, yeah. So what we're going to do is you're going to create a YAML file at the same level of the directory.
What shall we call that one?
You can call it anything you like. All the examples say cloudbuild.yaml, but I'm just here to tell people that that is not a magic name. You can call it whatever you want.
Okay.
You could call it jellybean.yaml. You could call it...
And this YAML is going to define our kind of build and deploy sequence?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if this were like a production service, this YAML, honestly, it should be what actually deploys into production. And so then we would be testing against the same set of commands that also deploys. And that way you ensure that, what you're doing like locally and in test, your test environment is actually what's going to happen in production.
That's great.
Okay, so we have a YAML. Build and deploy that YAML. Beautiful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to define our steps. And let's start with just the emoji part. Yeah. And we'll just like talk about that real quick. And let's just kind of like outline what the steps are. So first, let's do steps :
Oh, it goes straight into here. That's great.
Yeah. And in YAML, when you want to make like an array, you use those little dashes. Yeah. But let's with like comments, let's write. Okay, first we need to build the emoji.
Is YAML comments a hash symbol, or is it something else?
It's a hash symbol.
It is a hash symbol. Okay. So build emoji service. Yep. I guess deploy.
And then we actually there's a middle step. We want to push it to the container registry.
Oh, is that not combined when we do it this way?
No, it's not.
Interesting.
And then we want to deploy it. And then we're going to add one more step because when we built it manually, we built it and then it spits out the URL. Oh,
yeah, we got to get that somehow.
We got to get the URL automatically. And so just write, get the URL. Cool. Okay, so now at the same level as steps, if you want to like go down a couple steps, a couple lines there, write images and
Same thing. Right?
This is where you're going to put the tag, the name of that emoji image. And that is like one of, the Cloud Build artifacts.
Yeah, that's important. Yep.
Yeah. And if these are mismatched, your Cloud Build will fail. It'll like try and it'll be like, oh, we didn't find this image, or oh, this is the wrong image, or this image wasn't in this list. And so we need to make sure that that works nicely. Okay.
So since we already know this URL, why do we need to get the service URL automatically? We already have it.
That is a beautiful question that just makes my heart happy. We can't use the same URL. Otherwise, we're building and deploying over a production service that could break everything.
Yes.
And
oops.
We don't want to do that.
Not so much. Not so much. Well said.
So we're gonna use like a little tag. Basically, we're gonna like create a random name for our service every time we deploy it. We build and deploy it so that it doesn't interfere with anything in production, and it basically only exists for this like one,
Yeah. Oh,
like
we need to tear it down at the end. Yes.
And then we need to tear it down again.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start working on the steps. So let's do a first step, and that is, we need to indicate that it's the first step in our array of steps with a little dash. So if you want to do a new line and then put a little dash in there, yeah. And so there's two parts to this step. One is, I always think of YAML like how it translates to JSON, because JSON is just like easier for me to understand.
I hear you. Same here. I'm no YAML expert either, so I would love any tips.
Yeah. So essentially, these steps are all little dictionaries, and the dictionary has two keys, and it's name and args. So we're going to do name : and then on the next line we're going to do args :
Is there a space here?
Oh.
Or no space? I don't remember.
You could put a space. You can even put it on the next line. But we don't want a dash next to those args, because name and args are part of the same dictionary that are an item in your array. If that makes sense.
Oh, this is one dictionary with two keys. Yes. Okay.
Yes, with two keys.
Yes, this is great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for talking through this. This is really handy. Because YAML files are so opaque, I feel like, to a lot of people, myself included.
I once had to code an entire UI in a YAML-based language. It was thousands of lines, and at first I was like, why do you sometimes have a dash and why do you sometimes have a comma, and I don't understand what's going on here. But the moment that I started thinking of it as JSON, I started going, oh, this is the equivalent of this, and I get it a little bit better.
Sweet. Amazing. All right, so we got our name, we got args. I assume this is the name of our service?
So it's actually the name of the builder.
The builder.
So it's like saying this is like
Bob the builder.
The tool that we're gonna use to do something with. And in this case, we're gonna be using the Cloud Builder's Docker image. And so this is how we build, the images for Cloud Build, using the Docker files. And so in order to understand those Docker files, we need to use the Cloud Builder's Docker builder.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Okay, and
this
so
is how
they all have nice long names. So we're gonna have some fun writing their full image names.
Okay.
And so it's gcr.io.
Is it in name or down in args?
In name.
Oh boy. gcr.io /
Cloud Builders. It's Cloud-Builders.
Builders with an S /
Docker : latest.
All right, not too bad, not too bad. I've seen longer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so the args, it's going to be an array, and so it's up to you whether at this point in the YAML, for some reason, it's up to you whether you want to do that with dashes or if you actually want to like use square brackets and make an array.
Oh, I have a choice. I did not know YAML gave me a choice. That's amazing. Let's continue using the dashes because I need to figure out how to do this thing anyway. Okay. Where should the indentation of these dashes be then?
It does not matter. It doesn't care about indentations. I think really? Indentations are just to make us feel better.
Yeah, they do make me feel better. It's true.
So, you know, it's kind of like a punctuation-based language, not a space-based.
Yeah.
I guess it's not really a language, but yeah.
It's markup.
Okay.
Markdown syntax.
Yeah, markup. Yeah. Okay, so the args are, it's essentially, it's all of the words from what you put in the terminal when you're writing a command.
Which command are we going to use?
We're going to use the build command.
This one?
It's
or the one
yeah, it's actually, copy that one. It's a little bit different what we're going to do.
But it's a starting point.
That is a really good starting point.
All right. So something like that.
Right. So actually, we don't need to put gcloud there because our builder tells us that we're using gcloud.
All right. I'll fix that. Just give me a second. Don't mind me. Just keep on talking.
So the first arg that we need is build with no s.
You got to be kidding me. We spent all that time adding the s to gcloud build, only to remove it come time to make this an actual test.
Yeah, it's a slightly different command because we're not doing submit. We're just building it right now.
Oh, fair enough.
And I don't know why that matters, but it's different.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next command is that tag.
Do we need the dash like I have here, or will that confuse it?
Yeah. No, we absolutely need all of that. But what we need is it to know that this is the second element in the array. So you need to add another tiny little dash at the beginning of that line.
Really? So
that's like the same as like saying that's like if it were a comma, you know?
Yeah. But why is it that we didn't need a dash here in front of args?
Because that's part of the dictionary, and this is an array.
Right. Dictionary array. Okay. Okay. And what makes it a dictionary is this colon here in reality.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, we're having fun with the YAML.
Yes. Fun. That's what they call this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our build, we got our tag.
So now we need to tell it where to look because we're not in that directory anymore. So we need to go get rid of that little dot and go down to the next line. And we are going to,
this file
it should be emojis.
Here, so it's here.
Yeah, emojis / dot. Oh, no slash at the beginning there. Just emoji / dot. There you go. And we need to add something to the name there so we don't overwrite our service. So where it says emoji down.
Oh yeah, we should have a different name for this, huh? Like test or something.
Yeah. Yeah. That should work. Or we can programmatically put in something distinct.
Oh, a different test each time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what should we add here? Is that curlies?
Curlies, and with a little $sign at the front.
Yeah.
Oh, a $sign outside the curly.
Fair enough.
To the left there. And put underscore suffix all capital letters. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pass in what is called a substitution into our Cloud Build YAML.
Okay.
And the reason why we have to use the underscore is because this is a user-defined substitution.
Okay.
rather than there are certain substitutions that Cloud Build can do and can know about without our help. And so, for example, like project ID, if like you wanted to get rid of that Cloud ML demo, you could put in.
Okay. Yeah, that could be automated. Maybe my tests are in a different project and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you want to leave it like that for now, I think that's fine.
Great.
Okay. So that builds it. That is the end of the build step. So let's go to the push step.
I was like, I wasn't sure how long the build was gonna go for. I was like, and then there's another argument.
Yeah.
So this is the push. Let's see, is this gonna be another something like a name or something, or are we using the same?
Yeah. Same dictionary. And you can use the same Docker builder.
Okay.
For this one.
Great. And then args, new line.
And it's gonna be push.
Like Docker push.
Yeah, it's Docker push. Yeah, the first one was Docker build. This one's Docker push. And then we put in just the name of our image.
Now, will this still work?
Yeah.
Great.
I don't think you actually need the -- image.
Oh, do I still need image equals?
You just need the image name.
Oh, without the image part at all.
Yeah.
Like so.
So it should be pushed like that. Okay, so that was a nice easy one. Now let's deploy it.
Are we still using the same Docker image?
No, now we're gonna do, so it's the same up till the end. So it's like gcr.io cloud builders, and then we're gonna do gcloud.
Just gcloud.
Sorry. So it's the same.
Got distracted by the live chat. But yeah, Philippe was asking if this is necessary to push that image. Having just images : at the end of the YAML was sufficient, which is interesting. Other ways to magic a YAML together, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't actually tried to skip this step.
Okay.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I know that we need, when we do this next step, the deployment, we're pointing at the image. So my assumption was that it had to be pushed.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Since we've separated these out, as separate Docker commands as opposed to using gcloud build. So, or builds, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so you need to put in the full name of the builder there.
Okay. Is it another gcr.io type thing?
Yeah, it's the same thing, except instead of Docker, you're writing gcloud.
Oh, gotcha. Nice.
And then our args are going to be
run?
The cloud run. Yeah, run deploy is the next one. And because this is, this isn't running in the terminal, and it's not, picking up your pre-configured region and platform.
Oh, we got to put all that in too, don't we?
Yeah, you need to put it all in.
Cool beans. All right, so here's all this. I honestly don't remember all those arguments that came with, so you may have to remind me.
Yeah, you need, no, it's -- region.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was region or zone.
And then the next one is platform, -- platform equals managed.
Was there anything else?
And then we're going to say a dash dash no allow unauthenticated.
Ah, yes. How's that spelled again? No dash allow dash unauthenticated. Unauthenticated. Authenticated what? Requests?
Oh, that's it.
Oh.
Yeah, at the end there. Okay, so region, platform. Okay, yeah, that should work. So before we do the part of getting the URL, let's try it out.
Yeah, let's see if this all works.
So what we're going to do is in the end-to-end test. Oh, make sure you put the image name in there.
Wait, where?
Where it says images. So you're going to want
oh, we need to keep this around. Oh, this is.
You need to keep it.
Sorry, I thought this was the other folder. I misunderstood the purpose of this line. Yes, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, so you need a little dash there, and then you need to put the image name. Suffix and everything.
Is it anything else, like in terms of like image equals or anything before it, dashes, or is it just the pure string by itself?
Just the string.
And it's images plural?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So how do we run this thing?
So if we go back to our test file.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so so for the suffix, we could do like a UUID, or you could do a random number, or you could just hard code a string for right now.
Uh-huh.
So that's a bit, I don't know what precisely you want to do. Obviously, we use UUID. We need to import UUID.
Yeah, and install it. Let's just put something hard-coded for now. And let that, as in leave a to-do here.
Cool. Okay. So the way we're going to run this is we're going to use subprocess.run, and essentially, as if we were writing in the terminal, we're just going to run a command that looks at that cloud build.yaml and does all those steps.
Mm-hmm. Does that go in the test services function?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. And so before the yield, what's the process? Yeah.
What's our command?
It's going to be so the first thing that you need an array. And it's kind of like in the YAML. It's it's the list of commands, and so it's gcloud is the first one.
Part of me wants to just make a string and then partition by space to build the array.
You could do that.
All right. Do you mind if we do that? We'll play around with that. Gcloud build.
Builds with an S this time.
Classic.
Submit.
Uh-huh.
-- substitutions. And you want that to be, you do a space there, and then you want it to be the underscore suffix. So this is basically the variable that we set in the cloud build.yaml.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to have that set equal to our suffix there, and you could do that with an F string or any kind of string relation you want there.
Because then we can when we parse it, it'll parse out once the string is built. So that'll actually be nice.
Yeah. And then
we need the file
config.
name.
We're not quite done with this command.
Not quite yet. Okay. Yeah, we need that file name at some point.
Oh, it should be -- config.
Okay. Equals?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where you put the thing there. Yep.
Okay, there's a monster of a string. Let's see if I can remember how to split this correctly. This should return a array, list rather. I still call them arrays. We pass that in here.
Yep. And yeah, actually that should be enough. There's other things you could put in, like, you could check the errors and the standard out and all these things, but that'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we tear it down too. So after the yield statement, we do another subprocess dot run. Unless you want to just like watch it build and then like look at it for a moment.
Yeah.
And then we can go.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
we can always change the suffix for the second one. That's more automated. Oop, my mic just fell over. Give me a second. Let me mute myself. So. All right, we're back up again.
Okay. And yeah, you can
just run this.
go ahead and try to run the test. It should fail because we're asserting that it doesn't return anything, and it should return something. It might fail earlier if there's any errors in our cloud build.
Yeah. So let's watch this, and we'll also. Oh, something failed already? No, it's running. Yeah, this is where I just ran it. Sorry. Yeah, this it's a little confusing because of the previous thing. So if this is
some
working,
common
we can.
Some common errors are like if you haven't enabled the Cloud Build API, or if you haven't enabled the Cloud Run API, or if Cloud Build doesn't have the IAM access to act as a service account or to act as Cloud Run. There's a variety of like permissions errors that might happen, essentially.
Assert not gcloud. Build some files not. Okay, there's a couple of errors. Oh, here. Already have image. Yes. Invalid service name. Emoji test adventures. Why is that? Oh, it's the underscore thing again.
Oh, dashes. Yeah.
It's killing me. So, what, it's saying that. Yeah, so basically anywhere I have underscores, I should have used dashes.
Yeah, they work, and I think they work in the image name, but they don't work in the service name.
So just use dashes to be safe, across the board.
And
I don't know why I have such an affinity for dashes. I mean underscores.
I think it's the Python in you. Yeah. Make sure you update it in the images array as well.
Yeah. I'll do a search at the end for all the underscores. Good. Save.
Yep.
And change this. I'm going to change this to adventures because they already have test in there, and I was noticing it was f-stringing to test. All right, clear all that so we can get a clear picture of what's happening. And I'll take a glance here. There was that first build that failed just now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I guess I should, it's streaming builds. So, there it goes. So you can watch it do its thing. These are pretty quick builds by the looks of it. They're 30 seconds, so yeah. Let's sit tight. Oh, it just gives me details. It doesn't actually say, give me like ongoing status. I'll just go back to the list view. Maybe it's done already, so there's nothing to say. Check back in over here.
The full thing for the samples that I worked on, the full thing of like building the two services, pinging them, checking the what they returned, and then tearing them down again took 90 seconds
Oh, okay.
on average.
Nice. Yeah. Hopefully, during this, folks got a chance to have some fun, at least with the emojiizer, even if our YAML excitement wasn't the most satisfying thing in the world for all the viewers. They at least got to
Yeah,
play with. All right, so this build finished,
cool.
and we got some outputs. Looks like the build finished. There's all the build outputs. Created.
Okay, so if it finished, you should look at Cloud Run and see
Oh yeah, we
if
can see if something
you
deployed.
should see the service.
Hey, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's why I changed it from the markdown sample, because I was like, this is a really dry topic,
Yeah.
and at least we should be doing it around something a little bit more fun and whimsical.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, look, it works.
Yeah, it works. Wow, that is quite an interesting workflow. I mean, we put in kind of this work, or some might call it pain, up front, right, to figure out this, what has grown to be quite a long YAML file. I think it's safe to say, and
Yeah, and
we get at the end of the day something that will save us time down the road, right? Like on an ongoing basis.
yeah. And somebody just asked how to notify when a build is done.
Ooh, yes.
There's a gcloud command that checks a build status if you have the build ID. So you could have that like running periodically and checking it. That's the way that I would do it.
Is there anything that is there any way to hook up Cloud Build to push a PubSub notification when it finishes? In any sort of
Then I love that question, because actually it does it automatically.
Oh, so all you have to do is subscribe.
Yes.
Oh, well, so really, to notify when a build is done, just listen to the PubSub message, and then you can hook it into your Raspberry Pi little build done light on your desk.
Yeah, or you can have a Slack notification, or you can have it do a Hangouts message, or whatever you want to integrate it into.
That's amazing. Whether and that includes everything from dashboards and visualizations to the messaging. Yeah, like you said, Dina. That's really good. Yeah. The PubSub piece, is that what this triggers thing does over here? I'm just poking around in the UI.
The triggers.
That's something else.
It's something else. It's it's basically.
Oh, for like CI/CD.
If somebody were to like make a commit to a repo, or like want to merge a pull request or something, you can set it up so that it would then build the thing that you want it to build. And actually that's pretty good, because you could have like different kinds of environments, and so maybe if somebody makes a build, you could do actually the test YAML that we've just set up here.
Yeah.
Or you could do a staging or prod, or that's how you would do that.
Very cool. Wow, there's so much in this kind of like world of, I guess, end-to-end testing, right? Like we've got to have you back on sometime to go through some of these other pieces in more detail, and kind of go into this more. And so I guess just trying to keep an eye on time for us, Dina, since we're a bit over, and folks, I want to be sensitive to folks' time at home. As we wrap up here, is there any resources that you'd like to point folks to where they can find out more information about this, see more of your work and the things that awesome things that you're doing?
Yeah, there's obviously our cloud tutorials and documentation that is just on the website. I would say the one pretty darn important thing that we didn't do just now is tearing down the service. And so that would, after the yield, essentially, we would do another subprocess.run where we would run gcloud run services delete, and then we would delete the services that we just created. And that would ensure that we're not just creating a million services, which, Cloud Run scales to 0 anyway, but that would be an incredibly cluttered dashboard there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the projects have some kind of limits around how many services you can have up. So yeah, and I'm glad
Yeah.
glad to hear that that would be fairly straightforward, right? It would just be like it wouldn't be another YAML file and a whole rigmarole. It would literally just be just a single command. We already know our service name, do we? Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of.
Um,
Yeah, we'd have to build that manually.
so I would suggest, if people want to like actually see the tests that we have running, maybe I can put it in the chat. Markdown. Hold on a second. Python doc samples.
Yeah, if you want to point me, the live chat will actually reject links from from you, unfortunately, and from all the viewers. I gotta add you as a moderator, and then you can paste links. But Julian asked about cloudbuild.yaml samples, so I was trying to like search around for that. But yeah, I can also pull up the what was it that you were looking for again?
It's Python. It's in GitHub. The Python doc samples /run/markdown preview.
Nope, this is Cloud Builders. Sorry. Let's see, where can we find the Python samples? Google Cloud Python samples. Great.
Yeah, there it is. And if you go to the run directory.
Yes, show everybody that we have lots and lots of sample folders.
We do.
Lots of things, yeah.
Markdown preview.
Great. And so it's this.
And there's the test, yeah.
Great, I'll drop this link in the chat for folks. So this is the more complete version of, not more complete, but maybe call it heavier weight version
of what we just did, yeah. And so then the YAML also does the thing of getting the URL and saving it and then using it in the environment variables when it deploys.
Nice. So this does the whole set of operations. Yeah, just like that.
For both services. And you can see, got and that's another fun thing about the Cloud Build is that you can just write bash. You can do almost anything that you can do in your terminal, and then also you could point it at different images. Right now we're using the images that come as the supported Cloud Builders images, but if you had a custom image and Docker image, that you could use that instead. And I played around a little bit with using a TensorFlow image and running some commands on that once. It's essentially Cloud Build it's very flexible, and it's especially if you're using it to build and deploy your services into production, you should also be using it to write your tests. And ideally, they would be essentially the same file, but it would take in perhaps the different suffixes, or maybe the test ones would be the slim version, or the production ones would be the full version. Essentially, the more you can make it the same, the better.
There you go. That's as good of a way to wrap it up as I can think of. Test like you work in production, but don't test in production.
Yes, exactly.
Don't be like me and mix my test and production environments together. Well, thank you so much, Dina, for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. I learned a ton. Hopefully this was valuable for you all out there in the world watching this as well. Yeah, anything else, I guess, to close us out? Any final words, Dina?
Yeah, I guess, just to reiterate, your environment, obviously it changes when it goes into production, you want to avoid the idea or the problem of it works on my computer.
Yeah.
And this is a way of doing that, because this is deploying it into the environment that it will be when it's in production.
Outstanding. Yeah. So we'll be back on Friday. I've got my colleague from London, so we're flipping to the other side of the world to join us. We're going to be putting some machine learning into Google Forms, so that'll be really interesting. App script and work, and yeah, I'm pretty excited for that as well. So 2 very cool live streams. Thank you, Dina, again for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for being on and being with us today. Be well, and I'll see you all on Friday. Bye.
Bye.